Most people think of intuition as a gut feeling, a voice, or a sign, but that's not really the full picture. Intuition is like a living and breathing thing. It doesn't just speak, it also moves. And it moves in different ways. Sometimes it moves through a sentence you didn't originally plan to say, but that came out. Sometimes it shows up as stillness, as presence, timing, emotional resonance, or simply just complete silence. And if you don't know exactly how your intuition can function, it's a lot easier to miss it completely or doubt it. I've spent years studying my own intuitive process through deep channeling, energetic work, nervous system healing, and also the way that my body and voice transform when truth is present. These are the 5 intuitive mechanisms, the 5 ways that intuition moves through each and every one of us. How truth or intuitive knowing lands in the body. But before we get started, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Rose. On this channel, I talk about energetic clarity, nervous system intelligence, and how to actually trust your inner signal. So let's get straight into it. Let's start with mirroring. Mirroring is when intuition shows up through reflection, either from you or to you. So you're not receiving a direct message from higher consciousness. You're perceiving truth through what gets exposed or activated through relational spaces. Sometimes it reflects a pattern that you're still carrying. Sometimes it reflects a version of you that's no longer present. Either way, the clarity doesn't come from a download. It comes from what your system notices in an interaction. So, for example, this might look like someone saying something that hits you so hard, it feels like a truth you hadn't yet admitted to yourself. It could look like your energy surfacing in someone else that wasn't visible until they were around you. It could look like being triggered by someone else's behavior and realizing that they are showing you a frequency that you've unconsciously held. Or if you're later in your process, it could look like feeling dissonance with someone you used to resonate with and realizing that they are now mirroring who you used to be, not who you've become. Mirroring has shown up for me personally in a multitude of ways. I've had a lot of relationships that are very seasonal, that reflect a certain version of me, and that embody or represent a container that I could not move forward with. A lot of times, those seasonal relationships carry dysfunction because they were mirroring back to me parts of myself that I hadn't yet integrated. And that manifested as dysfunction in the relationship, as power imbalances and struggles, as not being seen fully or validated fully. But as I became more conscious, piece by piece, layer by layer, I started to recognize I am not part of this dysfunction. I am growing beyond it. I am integrating the frequency that was within me that made me a match for this kind of dynamic. And that this dynamic and this dysfunction is showing me. And when you start to become aware of what is being mirrored to you, you can start to integrate and heal those parts of yourself so you can become bigger than whatever that frequency was or relationship was. Mirroring also helps you track your progress in real time. It shows you your evolution through other people and through the dynamics that you move through. Because every single relationship is going to mirror where you're at. And especially the seasonal ones, especially the dynamics that you outgrow. For the relationships that do have that through line where you grow with them, you can also track your evolution through theirs. The next intuitive mechanism is transmission. And this is pretty much pure channeling. This is when the message just moves directly through you. When you say something, you write something, and you know very well that it didn't just come from your mind. There's often a sense of, I didn't plan that, or that just came to me. It's often fast, undeniable, and extremely clear. The challenge here is learning how to trust it and not interrupt it with doubt or overthinking. For example, you might be consoling a friend and something you say just like lands and you're like, whoa, was that me? And both of you are just like, shit, where did that come from? But true. Or telling a friend like, something really profound about what you see in them and then it really resonating even if it kind of doesn't make sense in the mind initially, but you're both just like, whoa, that was big. But I feel that in my bones. I identified transmission as a mechanism of intuition because I think it's just the best way to describe channeling in this framework. Pretty much all of my work is channeling. It is tuning into a higher consciousness and letting my body and my voice, everything work together to receive wisdom that's bigger than me, that's smarter than me. So much of what I do, say, think, create, etc. is like, I don't know how that came out. I don't know how that happened. I literally couldn't tell you, but it's because I trust. And I've learned to trust, and I've built that muscle. And that is transmission. The third intuitive mechanism is called tracking. Tracking is when your intuition works through timing and orientation. So with tracking, you're not gonna get a message necessarily, but what you will get is a knowing of what feels aligned in terms of pacing, timing, and directionality. So this is kind of claircognizance in action, in the sense of functioning as a compass in a way. It helps to ensure that you are doing the right thing at the right time, going to the right place at the right time. It's the cues that help you do so, and learning how to read them. And again, just like transmission, the struggle here can be learning how to trust that guidance. When we're in survival, of course, the instinct is to trust what's tangible, what's right in front of us, what's factual, and a lot of tracking is going to come through trust and surrender. It's gonna be like, okay, I know this feels right, but I can't see why right now. I don't know why I feel the urge to resist, even though like all the signs, the mental signs and the survival-based signs are telling me act right now, like this is urgent. But my intuition through tracking is saying, no, don't answer now, or don't do that now, or wait a second, there's something better coming, that kind of thing. Or it might tell you actually do XYZ now, or make this move instead, even though you might be told from others or have that egoic pressure in your mind to do whatever safe, familiar decision seems more safe. For example, this could show up for something as simple as having a really big and important message to tell someone and feeling really urgent initially, like I need to get this off my chest. But then your inner knowing coming through as every time you're typing out the message, it like doesn't feel right to send. There's something saying don't send it right now. There's something saying hold on a second. Maybe because that person is processing something else, or maybe something else is happening that day, and your inner knowing, your intuition is coming through and saying now is not aligned. It's not going to be received in the way that you want it to be right now. So hold off. Trust me. Trust timing. It might feel really urgent to your ego, but trust me on the fact that it's not, and it's actually better to wait and hold off. I identified tracking because my alignment and awakening journey in general has been 100% guided by tracking. Yes, I have insights, and yes, I have the transmission. Transmission is like the output, but I would say that tracking started first. So tracking began first when I started to feel and listen to the whispers that said, go this way, even though your mind says go that way, and do it now, or, rather than staying in my comfort zone and saying, I'll hold off or whatever. Tracking was was the compass that guided me towards truth and towards awakening. It began it all. And as I listened more and more to the compass in this direction towards truth, that's when I started to, intuitively make space for channeling and transmission. And when I started to also trust the signs and the reflections that mirroring was showing me about all the parts of myself that I hadn't yet integrated, and showing me the dissonance between, the people who mirrored back to me parts of myself or versions of myself that I had outgrown. Tracking has also helped me just continue to move towards alignment as I evolve. It helps me know when I need to pivot. It helps me know when I need to walk away from a relationship. If mirroring gives me information about where truth is or isn't, or it no longer is or never was, then tracking is what helps me take aligned action to what is. The fourth intuitive mechanism is called weaving. Weaving is the mechanism of pattern recognition and symbolic integration. So it's not just receiving one direct message. It's the way that you synthesize meaning across many different experiences. This could be an emotion, an experience, a dream, a memory, the body, a symbol or sign, language, literally anything. It's the thread or the weave. It's weaving a thread between all these different things, allowing the context or the truth to emerge. So this could look like having a really strange and distinct dream, then seeing a sign somewhere, then hearing the same phrase twice that same day, and remembering a random sentence or memory from your childhood. All of these things, all of these different little pieces of the puzzle click together and create this one big mosaic of like, oh, and it kind of totally reframes your entire perception. Weaving came up for me because I have naturally tended to synthesize a lot of information from a lot of different experiences. I think earlier on in my journey and lower states of consciousness, I definitely wanted to find, like I wanted to probe or try to pull meaning out of things that maybe it was more forced or egoic. And I think as I've moved towards more embodiment and integration, I've definitely started to become more interested in and capable of just allowing truth to emerge in micro pieces and trusting and allowing, again, creating the space for all of the context and pieces to click in together into place. And that's kind of the way that intuition works through synthesis. And finally, the fifth intuitive mechanism is called anchoring. I would say this is the most advanced intuitive mechanism and something that you may see glimpses of throughout your awakening process, but it becomes more and more and more embodied once you reach higher states of consciousness. And this is when intuition simply functions through pure presence. When truth just comes through naturally from being present. It's from the way that the frequency that you operate on and the vibration that you put out that puts people on to truth. It just simply wakes people up. It makes people feel seen. It makes people feel understood. It taps other people into their own potential or threatens whatever illusions or attachments that they're holding. It doesn't happen through insight or timing or language. It literally just happens through pure being. Again, letting truth just move directly through you without saying a word. Having your field be so clear that you move people just by existing, because you anchor the field in a way that just simply stabilizes and elevates or awakens others. So people, again, feel clearer by just being near you. They feel more aligned, more conscious, more inspired. Again, not because of what you say, but because of who you are and the frequency that you hold. For example, you walk into a room and someone is spiraling. They are having the worst day, maybe even the worst season of their life, the dark night of the soul, and you walk in and you don't say a word. You literally just sit down next to them, and somehow your mere presence has an effect, a healing, deeply, deeply healing effect on this person. You literally don't give advice. You just sit there. And they slowly but surely sort of start to calm down or regulate. Just because of your presence alone, there's something about you. This could happen through a therapist that you just met for the first time, or a YouTuber. Like, it could be someone you don't know at all, but it's this person shows up with such presence and such an anchor, a clear field that they anchor this healing frequency, this embodiment of truth that lifts your soul, or that lets your soul remember itself and remember the path to healing. I think that this comes through the most when we are the most regulated, we are the most integrated, we're the most embodied, we are the highest version of ourselves, and learning how to fully be, just fully be, to not perform anymore, to not attach to anything that our survival consciousness wanted us to attach to, because when we allow ourselves to be and we integrate all those parts of ourselves that kind of felt like we needed to perform or we needed to shrink, we create an anchor, the frequency for other people to do the same, and it just happens instinctively. And it is profound in the magnitude of how the ripple effect that has on people, whether they're local to you or not. Think of like Eckhart Tolle. He's a really good example of somebody who simply has changed the world and impacted so many people just from anchoring. He's just the most deeply present person. That is the purest essence of his magic, is anchoring the frequency of truth and being awake, and he helps people in that frequency, in that notice how you feel, like it's very reflective and like mindful and clear and pure. And being around that frequency or reading his books, it is healing to a lot of people. Even if it's less of a practical bridge from survival consciousness to that point of awakening, simply being around someone who can anchor that frequency of truth, it does have an effect, because it might not make sense up here in the moment, and it might not speak to the pain directly, but it kind of gets right into the nervous system, right into the soul. The soul is always listening. The soul is always there, even if we don't register it in real time. Because often the soul and the body are moving on a little bit of a different timeline or a different pace and have a little bit of different awareness than we do in our mind. Sometimes it takes time for the mind to catch up. But whether we realize it or not, anchoring is deeply, deeply and profoundly healing for everyone. So these 5 mechanisms are not fixed. One may lead to another, and you might circle back to a different, they always come up in different ways at different times. Intuition has its own intelligence. It is its own intelligence. It's gonna move the way it needs to for any given time, any given message, any given thing. Things will move how it needs to get the job done. It also is always going to depend on your regulation, on the conditions, and also the kind of truth, whatever needs to happen or needs to be said or known. One moment you're weaving insight, you're synthesizing all these different messages, and the next moment you are tracking and you're identifying which way to go or when to make your move. And suddenly next you are anchoring someone just by being next to them. Recognizing how your intuition moves through you in the different ways that it does can help you lean into it a little bit more and start trusting your knowing. I think it's super helpful and important to recognize a lot of these different abstract realities of the way our bodies work, because this isn't something that's talked about very much. This isn't something that's really been named in this way. So I hope that this gives language to processes that are probably very active within you. You can start to notice it. Okay, I was just tracking. I'm tracking because my soul knows my timing. My soul knows my direction. So that's what that was. That's why I'm feeling resistance doing or saying the thing now or in that way. Or that was transmission. I literally just channeled information because that didn't come from me. That's crazy. Or like, whoa, that was anchoring. Like, I just showed up fully embodied, fully present, fully connected to truth, and I just moved that person. I just helped that person without saying a word. I think it can be really helpful to just be able to identify the functions of intuition. And this is this is the framework to help us understand how it does. So let me know in the comments which of these is showing up most often for you right now, or maybe even what was the last intuitive mechanism that you experienced. And if you have a story or an example or anything at all, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to support me on this journey. And I am posting so much more content like this, so definitely stay tuned for more. If you want me to go deeper into these mechanisms and how they work in relationships, decision making, or creative work, definitely let me know in a comment below. And I hope you have a beautiful day or night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.